Hello everybody, welcome to my television review series. Today we'll be discussing Gangland Undercover Season 2. Just got finished watching it. It is a history original, rated TV 14 on the History Channel. I think I just said that, don't remember. But I gave Season 1 a B plus. So you know how I'll do with this one. I'll give you my overall grade, impressions in the grade. Then after that, if you've not seen the show and would like to, you're going to turn this off. There will be spoiler alerts. Then I'll be discussing the plot synopsis and character development and major themes. Probably one major theme that I'll cover in my language litigation series. But, so we have, where's the overview again? The overview, it says, the drama series is a fictionalized retelling of the story of meth dealer turned ATF informant Charles Falco, who spent 3 years inside of America's most dangerous motorcycle gangs, the Vagos. Although Falco originally took on the assignment to avoid spending 20 years in prison on drug charges, it eventually evolved into a quest for justice for him. Gangland Undercover documents the lives of the outlaw bikers who live in the world in which respect is earned through fear. The series is based on Falco's memoir, Vagos, Mongols, and Outlaws, and documented historical research of gang rivalries. So, what do I think about this one? Again, I like the historical background. I thought the production was good. I actually liked Season 2 better than Season 1, and I thoroughly enjoyed Season 1, but I'm going to still keep it at a B+. There's some, again, might be historically accurate, but there's still some characterizations. Charles gets a new girlfriend this season, and there's still just some insecurity in the characterization. It might be historically accurate. The historical backing pulls this one forward, again, as opposed to just a typical crime show where you just have to make up the characters. Again, even if the violence or the plot development isn't super strong, it's still a history lesson. So that's why I certainly like these ones. Haven't really watched, again, I think it's like the first probably crime show or like type of show I've seen from the History Channel. But again, I like the production, like the historical backing. I think the Damon Runyon, who plays Charles Falco, does a good job throughout. We meet a couple other characters this season that I thought were like good characters or good plot development for the actual show. So I like the plot development a little bit more. There's a little bit more going on than just trying to take down the Vagos from Season 1. There's just more gangs or motorcycle clubs. So B+ overall. Thoroughly enjoyed it, heavily entertaining. I think it was really good. So I recommend it. It's on Hulu, and I'll be canceling my Hulu. I'll probably be jumping back on once Snowfall Season 6 series finale shows. I'll definitely watch that. Probably won't watch it on FX when it comes out. But I think that premieres like February 22nd. But I just thought this was still kind of like a crime show, like a fictionalized crime show, but with a good historical backing. So if you have not seen the show or would like to, turn it off now, there will be spoiler alerts. So we start off the season. Charles again had busted the Vagos last season, and now he's just kind of out. And so he's in witness protection. He's in Virginia now. He's working at a shop. It takes him about a year to get a social security card from the government, which is classic government. Yeah, we'll protect you. We don't give you the social security card in a year, though, because we're worthless as fuck. But so he's in Virginia. He's left the old life behind him. He's not really making much at the chop shop, again, like an actual repair shop, mechanic shop. We have a couple running. Pretty quickly we meet his girlfriend that's going to be with him throughout the season, Sarah Jane. I mischaracterized her from Season 1. I thought Sarah Jane was the wife of Schizo from Season 1, and it was not. So Sarah Jane was not in Season 1, but I had her up there. But she's a waitress at a diner. So Charles goes in there. The first day, you see Sarah Jane, wrestling, like kind of arguing with this guy, and Charles is like, they get into a fight. And so after a couple going back and forth, Charles and Sarah start dating. And so pretty quickly after episode 1 or 2, kind of slow. The first episode, I have to set it up, but he's not really sure if he wants to go back. He gets a call from Kaz, who is his ATF handler from Season 1. Kaz plays a minor role for the first half of the season, then you don't really hear anything from him after. But Charles gets a call from Kaz saying, hey man, we can do some more part-time undercover work with the biker gangs in Virginia if you would like to. And so he goes back and forth with whether he wants to or not. He goes initially into a biker bar on purpose. We run into the first biker gang of the conglomerate, the Pagans. So their head guy, their president, is Crowbar. His sergeant-at-arms is Dirtbag. Dirtbag is very, very, very well characterized, just his appearance. But Charles goes into this bar and basically picks a fight with the guy just to make sure he's still alive. So again, that type of characterization, getting into fights to make sure you're still alive. He's got a really rundown apartment. He's just throwing stuff out the wall. He gets mad and breaks his TV. All of those scenes, it's just instant zero for me in terms of like move on, get through this bullshit, learn how to behave, grow up type shit. And so, still some slight characterization. Again, might be historically accurate for entertainment TV. It's detracting for me. But he decides that he will work again with Cause. And so it's like, hey, you're going to meet your new handler. At the beginning, you also do meet a guy named Bullet. And he's riding for the Mongols. So you have the pagan, you have the Mongols, who's popular out west. But Bullet is kind of like trying to start up a chapter in Virginia. And so when Charles is going into this pagan bar the first time, he passes Bullet as he's coming out. There's a scene where Bullet and Crowbar sell guns together. Or Bullet provides guns to Crowbar, assuming to set him up on gun charges. But there's a slight scene with this big Mexican dude named Paco, Latino, I believe, who's selling them the guns. And Bullet does well there. And so, Crowbar's like, yeah, man, this guy should be with us. But he's trying to start the Mongols chapter. And then after Charles Falco agrees to meet his new ATF handler, it turns out it is Bullet. And so this season, again, we just have one Charles Falco as the confidential informant trying to take down the Vagos. This one I thought was, again, just interesting play to have an actual ATF agent. Again, probably historically accurate, but I just thought it gave it, for the actual plot development of an entertainment show, good development. And so you have Bullet, who's this military trained guy, ATF agent. He's in the field. He's been patched in as a Mongol. You also do learn that Kaz, during season 1, was also a full patched Mongol the entire time that he was handling Charles. And you learn that Kaz wasn't going to tell Charles because he was facing drug charges, wasn't sure if he was going to work out as a CI. And so pretty early on, they have to do a ride out west to the Mongols. Charles becomes Bullet's prospect. They ride out west to the Mongols, this big meetup. Again, there's like 3 rideouts this season. But they go out there for, I don't think it's the wedding yet, but they go out there for something, out to California. And they're doing all the prospect things. He's getting grilled. Charles, when he's getting grilled by the Mongols, is getting grilled by Kaz and Bullet. And they all have to play the roles because Kaz is ATF, Bullet's ATF, everybody else isn't. And so, also in the beginning of this season, you have Charles, again, kind of like wary or having nightmares about Darko from the Vaga coming to kill him. And so, after they ride out west to the Mongols, basically what happens is the ATF raids the Mongols without Kaz or Bullet knowing. There's also another blonde chick that's an ATF agent that plays a major role this season, but of course when you pull up the cast list, it's not readily available as to who that is. But a blonde chick, cute woman, pretty lady, I don't know, she's probably 40. But I cannot find her on maybe Meredith? It might be Meredith. So Meredith, but this is the other ATF agent. And so they raid the Mongols, and basically they can't wear the Mongols patch anymore, so they're not like, in the biker world you can have nomads, but they're like not a part of a chapter, but now they can't like be a Mongol, so now they're just not motorcycle people anymore or something. So basically they have to try to, in the alliances, you also pretty early on meet the Devil, who I didn't even recognize from the characterization. It says Kid the Devil. So Kid from season 1 was the Devil, and I watched the show like last week, so I didn't make that connection at all until I looked at the characters. So good for me, that was good. But the Devil is the president of the region for the Outlaws. So you have the Outlaws, the Mongols, the Pagans, and the Maggots. And so the Mongols don't really have any allegiances or alliances once they get wiped out, but you have the Outlaws and Pagans who are on decent terms. Like, none of them are like really friends, but they're on decent terms. They're all independent criminal organizations. So you have Sniper and Crowbar, or Sniper's the sergeant-at-arms. We have the Devil and Crowbar, the 2 presidents. Yeah, they say they have an understanding. So they're not working together, but they're kind of on an alliance, and they're certainly against the Maggots. So the Maggots are all alone. The Mongols kind of go away, and the Outlaws and the Pagans are just kind of on working terms. And so basically now they decide to the pagans give them like a week to say if they want to try to patch in with or Crowbar gives the 3, or I think it's just the 2 at the time, but if they want to patch with the pagans in a week. And so Bullet goes to the devil and says, hey, I want to be a fledgling chapter or a charter or probate chapter of the Outlaws. And so with some assurances, or some agreements, the devil pretty much agrees to that. So they have to build a clubhouse, and now they're going to build a clubhouse, and they're going to wire it up because it's all ATF people, and they want to load up the charter with agents. The agency's not going to fund that, obviously, because they just steal taxpayer dollars, and the government's the most worthless, disgusting gang in the world. That's a bigger gang than biker gangs. And so they wire it all up. You have a scene where they come in, and it's like they're putting the cameras, and the devil's like, "What's that up there, guys?" And he's like, "Sound system." But so just to collect data, they do have a kind of a run-in with on the initial when they're setting up the bar or the clubhouse. I think the pagans come by, the devil comes by, but they need at least 4 people. So you have Bullet, who is kind of like would be the president of the chapter. You have Charles Falco, who becomes, his name this season, biker name is Chef. And so you have the ATF agent, the confidential informant that's done this before, and now they need at least 4 people, so they need 2 more. So they find another dude who was a thief, and he's facing some felony charges, so he needs to do something. His name is Bug. And then the 4th guy, which is fun when they bring him in, is Darko from season 1. So Charles goes in there again. He's had some flashbacks about Darko. I think Darko's a great character, played by Ian Matthews. He played, to me, strikes me as a good role for a biker. So their charter is an ATF agent, a CI from both that was never a biker, a CI now that was an actual biker, and some thief who is just kind of like a jittery. He says Bug for big ugly guy, but he just talks a lot. And so, and just that core, those 4 like just roles I thought worked very well, and historically accurate as well. And so then they go down to Florida to meet the international president of the Outlaws, and they're doing all of the prospect things, giving them the beers, fighting, drinking too much, throwing up. And so they go down to Florida. The first one's for a wedding, and then you meet Sarah Jane goes with them, and so does Meredith. I'm assuming Meredith is Bullet's, the other ATF, the female ATF agent. And so there's a scene where a Crowbar pulls up to Bullet's house, and Meredith's there. So Bullet and Meredith have to quickly become old men and old ladies, is the terms they use. But just husband and wife are just together. And so they kiss a little bit, but that's just like their role throughout. And Meredith's kind of like the ATF backup throughout the show. And so they're in Florida. Sarah Jane gets kind of close with Cozy, I believe her name is, but just the devil's old lady. And so, again, Charles wants to keep Sarah Jane as much as he can away from just the biker environment. Doesn't want her exposed to any of this stuff. They get pregnant. Sarah Jane gets pregnant pretty early on in the season, so she's not drinking. She makes friends with Cozy. Cozy's a tattoo artist. Sarah Jane and them buddy a little bit, and Charles, they fight a little bit later on because Sarah Jane continues to interact with Cozy, and Charles is like, don't be around these people. And so Sarah Jane is staying at some friend's house. Again, they're adult friends, but like she's renting a room there, so there's 2 other characters that have minor roles as well. But they come back from Florida. There's nothing, I don't think anything too interesting happens at the wedding. No. Yeah, I don't think so. But they come back. Well, actually before this, so I missed a big thing. There's a guy named Tug. And so after one of the initial run-ins with the Outlaws and the Mongols, or the Outlaws and the Pagans, is Tug is selling some drugs through these Mexican dudes. And so the Mexican dudes come into the biker bar one day for the payment, and Tug just basically says, I don't have the money. The devil sees it, and they just fight the Mexican dudes and throw them out of the bar. And so when Tug and, I believe it's either Bullet or Charles are driving, I think it's Bullet, but when they're driving on their motorcycles later, you see the lowrider pull up and shoot him. So Tug gets killed pretty early on, and he's one of the original of people that certainly thinks Charles is a snitch. Again, everyone's always thinking they're snitches. And so Tug dies conveniently right when
he's really on to Charles or something, but he dies from some Mexicans pretty early on. And so they come back, get jumping around. After they come back from the first Florida trip, they have, I'm not really sure what they're ordered to kill one of the maggots. I forget what his name is, but this is big fat dude. Razor, I believe his name is Razor. Of course, they don't have. Why don't you have the characters, all of them, listed? But he is the president of the maggots. Well, actually, I missed the first opening scene. Is the devil is literally ripping apart. Again, this is actually, like I said, it's TV-14. There's some violent scenes, certainly violence implied, but not really super gory. But there was like one kind of gory scene, it's like the opening one. The devil, like literally the classic tie arms and legs and have two dudes driving the opposite direction and rip a guy apart. I've seen that in like 4 or 5 shows now. So make more creative on the kill shots at least, guys. But so they had that, and then Razor becomes the new president. So there's some reference to that throughout the show where it's like, don't you remember what happened to your boss, big guy? And that happened when Tug gets shot. I think that happens after like there's another, in that same scene where, I don't know if Tug gets shot, but in the very beginning, when the maggots chase down the devil, Charles, and Bullet, they all have guns, and then Meredith swoops in with the ATF, and literally just pulls a car in between a bunch of bikers, and they just like go away. So that scene didn't seem super accurate. It's like, the ATF's just gonna come in and just blink their lights and like break up the fight and not arrest anybody. That seemed a little, could have been tighter. I'm assuming that's the fictionalization part there. But coming back from Florida from the first thing, I don't know what's going on. Oh, they're tasked with killing Razor. And so they basically have to fake a murder, which they do. Bug records it on his phone as well, which later gets picked up by Crowbar, which we'll get to that. Well, so they're tasked to kill Razor. Obviously can't because they're the ATF. The major themes I'm going to cover, I'll cover my language one, is what exactly are the rules of confidential informant, like what, obviously you can't go around killing people as a confidential informant, so literally like, what are the rules and boundaries of like what laws or what things you can and can't do as a CI or as just an undercover agent yourself. So that was an interesting major theme that I don't know, that I'll be researching a little bit and be talking about in another series. But so they're tasked with, they fake killing him. At the party after they kill him, who else? So they're at a party. They throw a party. The pagans and the outlaws are partying because Razor's now dead. Sniper is not too convinced, and Razor's out of the picture. Like he just gets moved by the U.S. Marshals to somewhere. So you have. They're not too convinced. I mean, they have the video. It's well faked video, but they're still not convinced. At the party, Bug and this other dude called Foghorn, who's also not listed because we don't list the characters. And Foghorn can't speak. So Sputnik is this Russian dude, can't stop cutting things up. That's with the outlaws, and basically supplies Bug and Foghorn with bad dope. And they both overdose. Bug gets rushed to the hospital because, again, Bullet's undercover, but he's like, call the ambulance. And the devil's like, we'll take care of Foghorn, and they just let Foghorn die. So Foghorn dies from an overdose. Bug is in the ICU in a coma. He's not waking up. And there's another beef with the reason they want to kill Razor is because the outlaws have told the pagans that they are not selling cocaine into their bars at very, very cheap prices. And so they do that. Later on, they realize the pagans or dirtbag sees Sputnik selling outside of one of their bars. So it turns out after they faked the death of Razor, it really was the outlaws selling the cocaine into the pagans' bar. So their relationship shatters. And that's kind of towards the end. But there's another... the relationship between Charles and Sarah... You see it later in the episode, you see, or the season, you see the guy from the very beginning that Charles fought in the diner that Sarah works at, was actually her husband. And so Charles, again, throughout the season, didn't tell Sarah that he was an undercover agent, slowly, tells her what she's doing, and then they're all flustered about not lying, and, this broken relationship that I hate. And then Charles learns that Sarah lied about still being married, and they just won't sign the divorce papers. So some minor developments there. What else happens? And so they have to basically, they're just trying to get to a full patch so they can gather data. And so the last kind of major development is they travel to Florida again, because in the bugged like the recording room of the clubhouse that they built. They learned that Sniper still doesn't trust that they killed the guy, and the Devil and Sniper agreed to well, call him back down to Florida and have him take a lie detector test. If they pass the test, they'll be full patch members. If they don't, they'll be killed. And so they have some training for lie detector tests, which I guess that would be a major theme. I mean, how readily I know you can pass them, but it's again they treat their fingers with stuff and try to have fear spike with their control questions, and then do the best they can just lying for the actual lies about killing Razor. So that might be a major theme on the language series that I'll dive into if I want to do some research there. They go back down to Florida. They have some tense interactions, or just they call them in one by one. You're not sure what's happening, but Meredith is standing by with backup, and they all pass the lie detector test. And they get jumped into the gang. They get beat up a little bit. A bunch of members come, and now they're a fledgling charter. And so that's really the end of the season, which I would like. At the end of season 1, they gave the Operation Green 22 or whatever. They gave stats. It was 800 agents were involved. This how many arrests we made. This is what was happening. At the end of this one, they didn't give you any stats. It was as opposed to the Vagos infiltration. So it's really the end of the show. Like I said, I don't like the characterization for insecurity of any fictionalized show. Again, I don't think that provides any entertainment value whatsoever. A broken relationship to me is just zero entertainment value. But again, I really like the ragtag team of Bullet, Charles, Darko, and Bug. Bug ends up waking back up at the end of the season. Any other things? Dirtbag and Crowbar sell the video. Again, when Bug and Foghorn overdose, Crowbar's the one that finds them, steals their money, literally goes to their wallets, takes the phone, and then calls for help. But he has the phone that Bug recorded the fake murder on. So I wasn't sure if that was going to develop into you can see the ETF agent setting them up, or if it still looked legitimate. And so the video Bug took still looked legitimate, and so Crowbar sells that to the maggots, and obviously implied that they're going to be retaliating against the Outlaws. But this is the final season of the show. Again, I really like the historical background, so there's not going to be any more development. This came out, I think it was 2015, 2016, so this is certainly a done one. But yeah, I like the historical background. I thought the entertainment value of the actual production of the show was well done. I haven't really seen a crime show for history before, so I thought it was well done. Not quite enough to bump it into an A-. One less scene of a broken relationship that we might have gotten there, but I thought the ragtag team of those 4 was better than just Charles trying to infiltrate the Vagos. So certainly enjoyed it, and I'll be giving you any updates on the research of exactly on the lie detector test and the actual rules for agents and confidential informants and what they can and can't do. So that actually strikes me as something interesting to talk about, and I do not know. So that is really it. Anything else to say about the people? Nope. That's really about it. So thank you for watching my review of Gangland Undercover Season 2. See you on the next one.